and welcome to Big Talk, live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Deacon Michael. A pleasure to have you join us tonight. We'll turn attention. Over the weekend, there was a lot of information, different information coming from Osun State, the unending siege, issues of annihilations of the people of Ilobun and Ilobun, Erin, Osun, and the Ifon community has been a lot of a concern. Last week, communal clashes in those areas led to the destruction of properties and displacement of many people. The violent attacks escalated to Erin, Osun. Demola Adeleke, Governor of Osun, said that earlier imposed curfew in the affected communities. The crisis has been attributed to long-standing land dispute in affected communities, and of course, a lot of persons alleging senior officials of Osun State government and also alleging some members of the All Progressive Congress to be some factors probably fueling and providing logistic support for the violence attack. That allegations on the crisis that escalated, that got to the attention of the national scene has become an issue. And of course, tonight, I'm joined by a lawyer and the political analyst, Demola Ayodoko, is my guest tonight to review all of this development coming from Osun. So thanks so much for joining us.
Good evening, Nigerians. It's my pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
The subject is really personal to me because I'm from the community where these clashes are taking place. So whatever I say, I'm saying it as an insider. So it's my pleasure.
You understand the root causes of all of that?
I understand the root cause, the historical history behind it, and definitely it is my duty as a Nigerian to throw light on what is happening.
Give us a picture.
In fact,
give us a picture of it.
Okay. There is a pre-colonial touch to what is happening, and then there is a colonial touch to what is happening, and this is post-colonial Orulu Kingdom. Orulu Kingdom is an ancient kingdom in Yoruba history. Generally, people talk about Oduduwa as the father of all Yorubas. But it is generally known that before the emergence of Oduduwa in the political space of Ile-Ife, the origin of Yorubas, there is a character called Obatala, who was the leader of Yorubas or the people of Ife before the emergence of Oduduwa. Oduduwa eventually, they clashed when Oduduwa emerged in Ile-Ife. They clashed. And that clash led to the festival they do in Ile-Ife today. They call it Olojo Festival. So Oduduwa predeceased Obatala, that is, he died before Obatala. And that is why all the children of Oduduwa had to leave Ile-Ife because of the fear of what Obatala might do to them on his return. And that is why you will see Oduduwa children establish different kingdoms in different places in Yoruba land, as far as Togo, Benin Republic, and so on and so forth. This, as we have the descendants of Oduduwa, so do we have descendants of Obatala. So what the firstborn of Obatala, whose name is called Aladikun Olaosa, is the firstborn of that Obatala, is the founder of Ifon-Orolu Kingdom. And Ifon-Orolu Kingdom is what is presently known as Irepodun and Orolu local government. It is a kingdom because we have many kings under the throne of Ifon-Orolu Kingdom. So when I say the pre-colonial touch to it, in pre-colonial time, we had the institution of Olufon of Ifon, that is the head of Orolu Kingdom. Then we have many chiefs under it who are Bale. Bale are district head. So and there was no boundary. All of them were just there. So in 1900, when the Western Nigeria came under the military and British rule, and then we had what we call a Yoruba Jurisdiction Ordinance of 1904. You will see how Orolu Kingdom was captured. You will see how Orolu Kingdom was captured in that ordinance. So by 1917, the British government was already establishing native authorities, which is equivalent to what we call local government today. And then Olufon was approached. You, as a crown oba, as an ancient oba in Yoruba land, how many bales do you have under you? Those who were mentioned was Ilobu and Erin Osun. And then the British government said, okay, we will create a native council for you. You as the head. The ones under you will now be members of Olufon in council. Therefore, Olufon was asked to create boundary for the jurisdiction of Olobu or jurisdiction of Elerin. And that is how we came about sharing boundary between Ifon and Ilobu. So the official boundary that was made by colonial master is called Ross Boundary of 1924. That Ross Boundary of 1924 has monuments as the marks of the boundary. Yes, on the screen is the map of Ifon Rolu Kingdom, showing the part where we have Ifon, and then we have Ilobu. You see Odoje, you see Ifon. Then Odoje is an area, you see Ifon under it. Then you see Ilobu painted blue there. Then you see Erin painted yellow there. Then you see Olokanla painted white under the blue, beside the blue, towards the right side. Those were the smaller kingdom under Orolu Kingdom. So to make all the boundary between among these kingdoms were made by Olufon. And as between Olufon and Ilobu, who is a Bale under Olufon, the boundary according to Captain Ross boundary, which was entered in Ibadan, in a boundary, a judicial book of Ibadan in 1924 at page 94 and 95, says the boundary between Ifon and Ilobu will be from Ogbomoso Road to Old Wall. When you talk about Old Wall, Ifon, as I said, is an ancient town where they had mud fence, just like Benin Wall, the reputable Benin Wall or the Chinese Wall. They say from the Old Wall, from Ogbomoso Road, it will go, you follow that wall, the way the wall was, it was a mud, it's no longer there now. You follow the wall to Ilobu-Oba Road. When you get to Ilobu-Oba Road, then you follow Ilobu-Oba Road straight to River Okpamolu. Then when you get to River Okpamolu, you follow the trajectory of that river, the flow of that river into River Erinle. By the right side will be Ilobu, by the left will be Ifon. That is where the problem started. If boundary had not been made between Olufon and his chiefs, we won't be where we are today. And that is the colonial aspect of it. From that 1924, the boundary was enjoyed peacefully between the two communities, between the father and the son. By 1954, Ilobu wanted more land, and that is the origin of the crisis. Ilobu went to Osogbo Native Court in 1954. They said they wanted the Ross boundary of 1924 to be altered. The case was transferred to Ikirun. And when they got to Ikirun, the Ikirun court granted them what they wanted. They no longer wanted Ross boundary, Ilobu-Oba Road. They wanted Ili Road from Ifon to cut Ifon into two and give them half. They won in Ikirun court. Ifon said no. The whole land is mine. You cannot alter what I gave them. It is me who decide what I give. Olufon appealed to what we call Osun District Officers Appeal Court. Osun District Officers Appeal Court says it is impossible after the boundary had been upheld for 30 years from 1924 to 1954. Ikirun Court was wrong to have changed it. So the Osun District Officers Appeal Court reversed it and held that Captain Ross boundary of 1924 shall remain. Ilobu was not happy. Ilobu now appeal again to what we call Resident Officers Appeal Court. Resident Officers Appeal Court says no. Court of Ikirun, the native court of Ikirun, shouldn't have changed Ross boundary. Olufon is the owner of the entire land.
All right.
And then it has stayed for 30 years. I want to give you the judicial cases that has come. So from 1924 to 1934, before they went to court, and Ikirun said Ikirun native court wanted to change it. District Officer Appeal Court says no. Resident Officers Appeal Court says no. They now went to Governor's Court. Those were the court of those days. The Governor's Court also said no, that the Ross boundary of 1924 should remain. If Ross boundary of 1924 will remain, Olufon said all the things that they have been doing in Native Court Ikirun, District Officers Court, Resident Court, and Governor's Court, all those courts did not even have power to give those decisions. Why? Because it is only Intertribal Boundary Commission that should be able to fix boundary between two communities. Olufon went to High Court and got all those decisions quashed. So that is when the government of Western region of those days now said that now that all those decisions are being quashed. What we will do now is to follow what Olufon said. Let us take this case to Intertribal Boundary Commission, which is called State Boundary Commission now. We have National Boundary Commission too, but this one was for the state. So the Intertribal Boundary Commission, which is now called State Boundary Commission, was set up, and it was headed by one man called Enahoro. When the letter that appointed Enahoro, in his letter, they told him what he's going to decide. You are going to head this commission to decide the boundary between Ifa and Ilobu, and this is the decision you will reach. That is overreaching. That is not fair. You won't tell the judge what the outcome of the case will be at the beginning. So Enahoro did what he wanted to do, and after finishing it, Olufon took him to court. I remember Chief F.R.A. William of the Blessed Memory was Olufon's lawyer in that case. And the case traveled as far as the Supreme Court. And the case was decided in 1967. It is reported in 1967, one All Nigerian Law Report at page 41. The case is called Oyelade vs. Saraoye. And that is a locus classicus in Nigerian jurisprudence when it comes to issues of likelihood of bias. So, which means from 1924, nobody has been able to alter Captain Ross' boundary, which will remain the boundary now. So the first thing that happened is that Ilobu people who wanted the more land, what they could do is to destroy the features of the boundary. You cannot shift the Ilobu-Oba road. You cannot remove Okpamolu River. And you cannot remove the flow of that river to any length. So they removed the Odi Yalode. They now said nobody can trace Captain Ross' boundary. But all of us know the site of that old wall. And since then, they have never had violent. Yes,
because I was coming to that.
Clash. The first time we recorded violent clash was in 2005. And after then, it never happened again until 2023. Was it 2019? Between Erin and Ilobu. And now 2023. And now 2024. So a lot of interventions apart from that Supreme Court of 1967 are taking place. We have many cases, HOS 2070. And let me say, the effort of the current government at resolving these issues is praiseworthy. What this government has done is to set up what we call 100-man committee to find lasting solution to this problem. Ilobu will bring 25 members. And Osun will bring 25 members. They will nominate their persons. Ifon too, even though he's the father of all of them, and it's a local government on its own, Olubu and Erin had one local government, Repodon. Ifon is one local government, Orolu. Notwithstanding, Orolu agreed to bring only 25 members, and he brought only 25 members, Ilobu brought 25 members. Government now appointed its own 25 members. And the members nominated by the government, they sent the name of all those people to all of us to know whether we object to anybody, that we don't want that person to be part of the committee. And the committees, the membership is by ex officio. It's as a result of the position you hold. For example, all the Nigerian Bar Association chairmen in all the branches we have in Osun, Ilesa branch of MBA, Ilefe branch of MBA, Ikirun branch of MBA, Osogbo branch of MBA, all the four of them, Nigerian Bar Association, the four chairmen of MBA are part of it. Will those people be partial? The chairman of Nigerian Union of Journalists in Osun making it 5, right? The chairman of Osun State Boundary Commission making it 6, right? Permanent secretary, Ministry of Land and Urban Planning. Permanent secretary, Ministry of Justice. Permanent secretary, Ministry of Local Government. That is how
the selection of this committee.
Market women, head of market women. That is how, and the security chiefs, commissioner of police, head of immigration.
Inaugurated by Governor Demola.
Inaugurated. So the 25 men of substances on the part of government are people whose integrity you cannot change. So we had a 100 member, and when the community started its work, it is only one community that started fomenting trouble. In fact, they pulled out at a point from the committee, and they behave in such a way as if they don't want the subcommittee to make headway. Because if you don't fear the truth, I see no reason why any community who is peace-loving will be threatening. So they insisted that, in fact, the Osun State Council of Traditional Rulers, they set 4 members as part of the government side of 25 people. And they made the Ataoja of Osogbo a chairman, as the chairman of the 100 men. And then a retired judge of High Court of Osun State, Honorable Justice Adeigbe. These people, they insisted that Ataoja of Osogbo must recuse himself. They insisted that Justice Adeigbe must recuse himself. They insisted that the chief security advisor to the governor, who is also a member, should recuse himself. Why? What do you have against these people? They say they don't have trust in them. It is ridiculous. The Council of Oba says, those are the people we send. Justice Adeigbe said, before anybody objects to my name, I'm withdrawing. I'm no longer part of this. The chief security officer to the governor also withdrew himself. And remaining 22 members from the government side continued the job. And it's currently Comrade Wahid, I've forgotten his second name, pardon my memory, is currently acting as co-chairman, is the head of civil society organization in Osun. And they have gone far in their duties. They have gone very far in their duty. All of us, Ifan has presented his paper, Ilobo has presented his paper, and Osun has presented its paper. And then the committee had visited where Ifan claims to be the boundary, where he claimed to be the boundary, where Ilobo claimed to be the boundary. And they have requested each community to also file their final written address. I think that is the last step. After we file our written address, we will go and adopt it. And when we adopt it, then we'll be awaiting the outcome of the decision of the 25 men on...
So what triggered this Saturday killing, destruction that led to the imposition of coffee?
Shown now on the screen, there is a place marked pink. That place marked pink is called where you see Opamolu River. You will see Opapa, you will see Gberi Odofin, you will see Ibomi Esin. That is where the dispute arose in 2023. The people of Ilobu went to that place. And as you see, it is marked red. Everywhere marked red up is Ifan. The area painted blue is Ilobu. The white under Ilobu is Olokanla. That area painted pink. Ilobu went there, they destroyed economic trees, and they started building. And that is within Ifan territory. The late Chief of Army Staff, General Taurid Lagbaja, was from Ilobu of blessed memory. May God bless his soul. He wanted to build a military hospital in Ilobu, and there was no land in Ilobu. Then they encroached. They took him to Ifan territory. Ifan said, "We are not objecting to you building this, but after building it, you cannot write Ilobu there because this is within Ifan territory." They later agreed and moved the hospital inward to Ilobu, but they now insisted that that place belonged to them, and that is what caused the problem in 2023. And then government came to Ifan, took us to the disputed land. Ifan took them to this place painted pink. Ilobu also took them to this place painted pink. And after both of us have taken the government there, government mark it as it is marked here, and they call it Buva Zone. They want to seize it, so nobody, Ifan will not use it. Ilobu too will not use it, so as to make peace. They call it Bufa Zone, and they were working on it. All of a sudden, Ilobu breached that agreement. The agreement was made in writing. It was made in writing. They breached it, they started working there, then Ifan people went there and stopped them. And then it led to violent clash. And that is what led to the constitution of the committee. So as the committee was ongoing, a reasonable person would expect both parties to abstain. From that side, Ilobu did not abstain. And Ifan people continued to write letters to Commissioner of Police, to the committee, and to the governor. The committee has no enforcement power. And since nothing is done, as it happened in 2023, Ifan people went there. No, they didn't even go there. Ilobu also started sending Ifan farmers away from farm. They will beat them. They will lacerate them with cutlasses. They will cry to the palace. And on Wednesday last week, this thing happened. Odufan called the divisional police officer, DPO of Ifan, who then sent his men to go and see what is happening in Opapa the so-called buffer zone that nobody ought not to walk on. When the police got there, they were met with gunshot and they had to run back. The divisional police officer definitely came back to the palace, and Olufemi was very, very angry because the community people, the Ifon people, they were finding fault with Kabiyesi that Kabiyesi did not allow them to take action the way I cannot allow you to take any action. You cannot take law into your hand, and that means that man is educated, is a relatively a young traditional ruler, and he didn't want all these things. We speak from time to time, notwithstanding I'm in Abuja. So what now caused this current one is after they have pursued the police from the site, there is one honorable Assis of Ikolaba compound in Osun who lives close to that place. His house was burnt and he was shot and killed on Wednesday last week. There is another woman who's out, then another person, we call him Bale Akpikmanroro. Akpikmanroro is within Ifon. Ilobo is also claiming Akpikmanroro. That Bale Akpikmanroro is the district chief that Olufemi put there. He had been attacked before. His house was shot, perforated with gun bullet. As we speak now, the place has been burnt down. So that's overnight. By Thursday morning, Ifon people went to the palace en masse. Olufemi said no, and people say you can't tell us that again. So he lost control of the mob, and they had no choice than to say they want to go and revenge too. And then it became bloody because Ilobo resisted, Ifon resisted. Ilobo were burning Ifon's houses, Ifon too were burning Ilobo's houses. Who do you want to hold? Kabiyesi had no control at that point. He's a peace-loving man. If the police had acted, or when all these things were, because it took like a week before the tension.
It was built on.
So it took up to a week before the tension got to the stage of explosion. That is between Ilobo, Ifon boundary axis. Then there is another tension going on in place called Aworafi. If you see that map, you will see a place there that is painted green. That place painted green on the map is called Aworafi. And that is where Ifon shared boundary. That is where Ifon shared boundary with Erin Osun. That Aworafi, Afin family, Afin's compound is in Ifon. That Aworafi belongs to their ancestral home. That is where any chief Afin that dies, that's where they bury it. So Ilobo people, these people in blue, they have started building and encroaching into Aworafi. So they don't actually, when they want to build, they will come to Afin family, they will buy land. After building it, they will write Ilobo. So the Erin people in yellow, they too, they encroach into Aworafi. But Erin acknowledges Olufemi so far, Lord. And they have settled. There is no problem between Erin and Ifon. So as problem is going on in Opapa and Akpikmanroro, so also is problem going on in Aworafi, burning and killing and fighting. What's going on there? Ilobo people thought it was Erin from this yellow place.
All right.
That were touching them, and they started killing Erin too. And Erin too was revenging. So the most disheartening thing for me is Ilobo people reading politics into this. This fight has been on, as I said, since 1924. It is strictly land dispute, which ought not.
So it's not a political, because people say that they're trying to use this to settle political score for who control the sort of the local government in Osun State.
That is not it. That is between APC and PDP and local government election and their court of appeal wahala.
It has nothing to do with
I'm a son of the soil in Irepodu and Orolu. My mother is from Ilobu. My mother is from Ilobu. My father is from Ifon. I'm a prince in Ifon. So there's nothing political. There's nothing political about Ifon, Ilobo, and Erosion clash.
Trump group has said that they should declare state of emergency because of this escalation.
That is an irresponsible call. There's nothing that concerns federal government on state boundary dispute between one local government and the other, between one town and the other. State Boundary Commission has that responsibility. Where there is a boundary dispute between one state and another, we have National Boundary Commission in Abuja, federal government that will do that.
Today is calling on the federal government to intervene.
It is an irresponsible and ignorant call. It's an irresponsible and ignorant call. It is irresponsible.
All right. So how do because lives have been lost and properties have been destroyed.
The politics that they are reading into it is criminal. The Osun State Commissioner for Information, Honorable Kolakpo Halimi, is from Erin Osun. In his house, he was a target. His house was about to be burnt, and he has security details. That is what Ilobu says Halimi called military people and police to be shooting them. These are the people who rescued him because he would have been burnt in his house. They rescued him and they ensured that his house was not touched because he was a prime target of Ilobu people. How can you say Halimi is the most, let me say, is the freest person in among political players in this our Orolu kingdom of Ifon, Ilobu and Erin. How do I mean? Halimi lived all his childhood. He's from Erin Osun. He lived all his childhood in Ifon. I knew in shop before I went to read law. He had a chemist shop where we used to play in those days in Ifon. He built his house in Ifon. He built his house in Erin. His wife is from Ilobu. He taught as a teacher for several years in Ilobu. How could somebody accuse Halimi of an attempt to now annihilate Ilobu? How will Ifon annihilate Ilobu? My mother is from Sangoereke family of Ilobu. My stepmother is from Iliakinu. Is alive. What will I tell my stepbrothers and sisters?
All right.
We are all one, and we should allow peace to reign.
Because this matter is about lives of some Nigerians and some people of Osun said that unfortunately were lost at the clash of Saturday. How do you feel this matter can be resolved? The mechanism, yes, indeed, the entire history cannot be corrected by just one man and just one day. But in order to forestall some of these ugly incidences from repeating itself.
What I will say is that the entire case has become an embarrassing issue for the entire Yoruba race. Did you hear me? It has become an embarrassing issue for entire Yoruba race. And there is one evil that is going on. People trying to change history. I've seen, how old am I? But I've seen documents of early 19th century.
On this same issue.
On these same issues. The history, when our ancestors will not tell lies. The history as written in national archives by the ancestors of Ilobus, telling us how Ilobu was founded by Olufon through Larosin Ayonu, his grandson. Imagine the elders of the today elder of Ilobu now teaching their children that Ilobu got there before Olufon and that they said to Olufon in that place. Don't we have Yoruba historians? Don't we have Yoruba elders? Don't we have Yoruba traditional rulers who will tell them to shut up? You cannot twist this. Is it by accident that Olufon is made the paramount ruler of all the three towns? We should tell ourselves the truth. And you can see the map. Ifon is expansive. Ifon is large. But Ilobu has to come down from its high horse and acknowledge Olufon's supremacy, paramountcy. Olufon has just given Erin some portion of land for expansion. Olufon can do the same thing to Ilobu. But if Ilobu continue with ego, even if Olufon wants to do it, the people of Ifon will not agree with him.
All right. So do you feel that the curfew that has been declared by the governor have calmed the situation, or is there where that has been resolved?
Well, to a reasonable extent, the curfew has really arrested the situation. But I must say, from online posts that I see, especially from the people of Ilobu who believe that they have been affected most out of the three communities, I think some people are still not saying the ego of revenge or what do you want to revenge? You beat me, I beat you, then they separate us. If you want to come back that you want to beat me again, you are welcome. But for every action, there is a consequence. But I want to tell you why this thing keep on lingering is because people are not getting consequences for their criminal actions. Because if somebody commits crimes, and I don't want to turn it into a fray, I don't want to join him in the criminality. if I report to law enforcement agencies, they should act immediately,
right.
get the person arrested, get the person prosecuted.
Right.
If he's guilty, go to prison. But when the law enforcement officers don't act, or there is political intervention, okay, leave him, they will do it more. And that is what is playing out.
All right, because of time, Mr. Ademola Ayodekom, a lawyer and political analyst, thanks so much for joining us on the show and giving us an update. It was a very disturbing scenario, so we needed to have this conversation to understand what really is happening within the nation. So everyone will now be turning attention to the recent Supreme Court judgment over the National Secretary of the People's Democratic Party. A lot of tussles behind all of that reactions. What are the situations? Samuel Enyawu is still insisting that is the National Secretary. We'll look at that after this break. Please stay with us. I'll be right back.
Do you know that global television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch global television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to global television.
Party politics and the recent ruling of the Supreme Court of the People's Democratic Party's National Secretary has continued to draw attention of many persons. And of course, what really matters is the party politics, the crisis of the PDP, and also regarding how the party may look like ahead of the 2027 election. I'm being joined by Mazin Namdi Irobo, who is an activist and a politician. Thanks so much for joining us on the show tonight.
Thank you so much.
A lot of developments within your party. The Supreme Court said is an internal affairs of the party. I mean, we may not be able to interfere, but Samuel Enyawu is using that to go back to said, I am the National Secretary of the party. What do you make out of that Supreme Court judgment?
Thank you once again. Just like the last time I came here, I told you that PDP has only one National Secretary. And that is Senator Samuel Nnaemeka. And that is what the Supreme Court affirmed, that you're focusing on the part that the court said, yeah, party issues, it ought to be internal. You handle whatever issues internally. It's a family. That's what the court said. Right. And then also faulted the process of the removal of or purported removal of Samuel Nnaemeka. That also the Supreme Court said that much, but called the attention of the leadership of the party to the fact that whatever challenges you people have, you can sort it out internally. So, and that is what it ought to be. And that is what it is. And having sorted that out at the Supreme Court level, I'm sure the party leadership will do the needful. What was in contention is whether he resigned before going for the governorship or not. And they went to court to say that he resigned, and then faked a clause of the court of the constitution of the party that said, that is section 47(5) now, that said, should any executive member of the party seeks elective office, that he or she may choose to resign. That is what our constitution says.
May choose.
May choose. So that internally, therefore, that the Supreme Court talked about, this is the document that guides us internally and has affirmed that it's optional. So Sam Anyanwu did not commit any crime, and he's not the first. I also referenced the last time I came here that the Taraba State Governor, the current Taraba State Governor, was chairman of PDP in Taraba State, when he sought to become governor. And he eventually, when he won the governorship seat, he still retained the seat of state chairman until he got sworn in, that the seat was then declared vacant. We also have the current sitting Deputy Publicity Secretary, who sought to become governor of Kebbi State, right? And he didn't get it. He came back, and he's still the PDP Deputy Publicity Secretary. So what's Sam Anyanwu's problem? Why is his own different? It's different because a Wike is the target. And I told you here the last time I came also that I'm not a fan of Wike. That a man is a friend to someone. If you have squabbles with that very man, you go for the man and not look for his friend, who is the national chairman, national secretary of our party. So
if you this is a political...
It's a proxy war, right? It's a proxy war, and it's clear. But the Supreme Court has ruled, and it's final. So it didn't say that, you could nominate someone to represent Sam Anyanwu. No, he didn't get that seat by nomination or by appointment. He got there by election.
So they should wait to the next national convention.
Yes. So if there is anything that will change him or that will remove him, it's either we wait till December when his time will elapse, or we'll go through the process of NEC and all of that, which hasn't been exhausted before those who are on the other side, the Okoye people and all of that.
So that judgment from the federal High Court, so that judgment from Federal High Court ought not to be that call on Okoye to resume as the secretary.
That's our position. That has been our position. And the Federal High Court, the Appeal Court, you mean?
Appeal Court, yeah.
Well, first he went to State High Court, where he got the judgment that gave him the seat. And then, of course, Sam Anyanwu, and you need to note, when at the State High Court, the Udokoye's group went to court, they didn't even join INEC. INEC doesn't know Udokoye. And that's why we don't have aspirants in the Anambra Guba election, the forthcoming Anambra Guba election, simply because at the time they were doing all of those show of shame in the public, the INEC affirmed that Sam Anyanwu is who the commission knows as national secretary of the party. So if Udokoye signed any document for any aspirant in the Anambra contest, it would be null and void, eventually. And so now it's ruled, because when, like I said, Udokoye got the state High Court judgment, Sam Anyanwu appealed the case at the Federal High Court, and in his own case, he joined INEC and got a judgment in his favor before they proceeded to the appeal court, where they got the judgment they got on the 28th of December and all of that, and now said, that having gotten the judgment at the appeal court, that Udokoye is now the substantive secretary of the party, and that's not how it's done. We have affirmed or clearly stated that...
So do you feel that this Supreme Court judgment means well for your party, but do you feel, because some people have felt that this judgment might be destroying the party, do you feel that this judgment is adding to the value of the party?
The judgment settles it, and parties, political parties should learn how to solve their issues internally. They should uphold internal democracy by every means possible. And that is what the Supreme Court has ruled in this case, that whatever issues you people have, it shouldn't be decided in court. If a family has any issue as big as PDP, you will get together and discuss and agree whatever position you would want to take. The leadership of the party, particularly the political leader of the party, which ought to be Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, is who we should be calling his attention to his poor leadership, in this whole thing that is playing out. Because if he had been available as the leader of the party, because he was our last presidential candidate, he ought to be the leader. But up to now, we haven't heard anything from him.
Well, he's still a member of your party.
He is, yeah.
But there are a lot of talks with some coalition, even they're trying to form coalition. Do you feel that PDP might be joined in that coalition, if possible?
No, the PDP is a big umbrella, open for everybody. Those who have left, the P2B who had left before,
even National Refied have defected from
had left before and all. They were all PDP.
But they said they cannot come back to PDP.
So they can't say.
National Refied said
you can never say never in politics. 24 hours is a lot in politics.
So you feel
that SDP is not going to in any way get anywhere. The only time that SDP had a chance was 1993 under when Abiola was the candidate of the party. So since then, So
you're not shaking about this coalition, this SDP move, as I mean, a lot of Amechi of Rivers State and all of that.
I have maintained that you cannot use the same playbook that APC used in 2013, 2014 to sack them, because they know that playbook better. The best that we can do is form alliance. Nigerians need to form the political parties and political gladiators need to form alliance and take a consensus position to support a particular candidate. And I've also gone public or said here, I think, in the last appearance, that that candidate that should be supported by all to sack Jagaban out of this mess that we find ourselves is Peter Obi. If there is a consensus around Peter Obi,
for him to come back to the party, do you look like it's possible?
If you see that meeting with him and between him and Bala Mohammed in Bauchi and all of that, we are ready to come back as a family and correct whatever wrongs.
So you are really standing for the Southern presidency till 2031?
Not Southern presidency. I'm saying let us have a consensus position that Southeast should produce the next president of Nigeria. If
that had worked in 2022 primaries of the PDP,
won't be president of Nigeria.
You felt so?
That's a fact. Because it was, how could anybody imagine it that after the abysmal failure of Muhammadu Buhari, that APC would have come back to power? That PDP made that mistake of not, keeping to his book that recognized zoning. Party ought to reward loyalty. And at the time, since PDP left in 2015 up to 2022, when PDP made that mistake, the most loyal zone to the party is the Southeast. And the party committed a blunder, that very 2022 process that gave us Atiku Abubakar as the candidate.
I mean, I don't know if you had witnessed at Emeka Adio's event yesterday. There are a lot of persons who were speaking on our democracy. Former President Obasanjo, even Peter Obi said that there's something wrong with our democracy that is collapsing. What do you agree to that assertion that they have given?
There's something wrong. The man who said to have been in the forefront for the sacking of the military, engaging the military under the Nadeko and all of that, who is our president today, has indirectly invited the military back. How could you sack an elected governor, sacked the elected House of Assembly members, and then announce a sole administrator, a military man, to take over this? So he's indirectly calling for a military takeover in Nigeria again.
But you feel the situation in Rivers did not warrant the intervention of a state of emergency and all of that?
Whatever the Constitution empowered him for to declare a state of emergency, but not for him to sack an elected government official, elected governor, one man. I cannot walk out. Is this a banana republic? Nigeria is not a jungle. Just like the case of Sam Anyanwu that we're saying, a man went through the process at the convention and got elected by not just one zone, the entire nation from different parts of the entire zones from different parts of Nigeria got together under the convention and elected him national secretary. And then Southeast zone now the leaders think that they could just decide for the entire nation that they have sacked the national secretary. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't. That's not democracy. That's why what the P2B said at the Right Honorable Meki Hede has a colloquium that was held very clearly. It couldn't have been said better. He also narrated the story of how that when PDP was in government, Obasanjo was seated there. He went through. He was the first.
He has once been impeached.
He was the first to get to governorship position through the court. He said he didn't give the court any kobo. He was in his office and it was called that he had won the case because his case was clear. He told that story there. He also told the story how when he was going to be impeached, a PDP national leadership, including their senators and all of that, were fighting for him not to be impeached. But today, president by himself has removed an elected governor. That's an aberration.
Do you feel the National Assembly would have served the day? Because
this National Assembly, if you remember, the last time I came here, I told you that this National Assembly, anybody expecting anything good from this National Assembly is wasting his or her time. The only thing we're seeing is their show of shame, of personal whatever that they have had, and distracted away from the focus, that has to do with governance and all of that. This National Assembly shot itself in the foot. They had an opportunity to redeem itself. I thought, okay, after all of those mistakes that they had made and all of that, this very illegal thing that happened in Rivers, I thought they would have corrected it.
So with all the justification,
how could you go through that process with a voice vote? It was quite shameful.
But we have senators from the party, we have senators from the opposition who couldn't also stand their grounds to demand or what they do.
What would you have them
two-thirds of the majority.
They were not the majority.
But
they were not the majority.
Did they speak enough to you?
There was no room to. They didn't even give room for people to voice their position. Did you not watch it? They didn't give room for anybody to even voice.
After one of the exercise, some of them are not speaking. They have not also explained to Nigeria why they did that. Very few of them compared to the number that we have.
I'm sorry?
Very few of them compared to the numbers of the opposition senators that we have.
You see,
I'm
sure that everybody is appalled. Everybody is like wondering how we got here. Some are shocked. Because if there is anybody who ought to uphold democratic tenets, it's the acclaimed champion of democracy, who is there now. He said he's the only president today in Nigeria since 1999 who had no link to the military. Alas, we have seen that this is worse. We're going to that spot where Abacha was with this president.
To inviting the sole administrator is a signal
that is a crime against the constitution.
Because there's no provision for the office of the sole administrator in the constitution.
But if you are not even about the provision for sole administrator or not, elected governor was sacked.
Suspended.
Not even for 1 second. Do you have such powers?
They said it's a temporary situation to address.
Jonathan did declare state of emergency in some parts of the north when he was president, and we know what he did. He never sacked the democratically elected government in the state. Declare a state of, if there is insecurity, like I said also the last time here, if the president were serious about halting the nonsense going on in Rivers State, the main actor in that is the FCT minister, his minister.
They said it's not known to the law because it was a matter between House of Assembly and the legislature and the executive war in the state that escalated.
Those 27 House of Assembly members, is it not an open secret that they are loyalists to the FCT minister? As the FCT minister, don't you know about it? Sometimes because we're said to be journalists or in the media, you try to isolate yourself from what is happening in your country. This country is going down the drift. It's going down by the day.
Well, we are trying to make
one of us, everybody should speak up. If you're waiting for any group of people somewhere to come and speak up against these issues in our system, then we're wasting our time. This government has failed woefully, and then also is about to bring back the military. If the military strikes in the villa now, don't you think that the streets will jubilate? Because he started it in Rivers by himself.
So do you feel there's an urgent need to withdraw that step? Do you feel there's an urgent need to withdraw that step and serve the situation?
Go back and apologize to the Nigerian people that you committed a blunder. It's not perfect. If the president wants to get back on track, he should just pull back and say, this was wrong. Okay, I'm adjusting and putting the right steps, back on track. But if it is about whether he made a mistake in this emergency declaration and suspending.
How about a man like Obasanjo who also spoke about democracy? Some person said he once also tried that. There were some abnormalities under his watch as the president as well.
No, you see, two wrongs don't make it right. Obasanjo, when he was governor, the president of Nigeria, the same Tinubu was engaging him and all of that. So if you have now come, first your party came into power with the slogan change. You're not doing worse than what PDP did. PDP at national level, when they were in government, was not involved in the dethronement of any elected office. They were not. And the people that Obasanjo had squabbles with were even his party men, governors from his party, and all of that. So this one is a case of you are using your power against the opponent.
Do you feel that APC are trying to capture Rivers by this calculation?
When they were campaigning, they said they wanted to, the purpose was to capture power. And then this man finished it by saying he grabbed it and ran with it. And he did. He grabbed it and ran with it, and since then he's been grabbing. And Rivers is the latest victim.
So it's a situation where we are in this mood. Who are those responsible to serving the situation? Because there are those that are having attention towards the National Assembly or the House of the Legislature or the Judiciary to serve the situation that we have today. What is your concern before we wrap up, please?
The expectation is that because the PDP governors have gone to court, the expectation is that the Judiciary will at least, once again, avail itself an opportunity for redemption. Because this is something that is more like setting aside the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which they are better positioned to uphold. So they have the chance to help salvage this blunder that the President of Nigeria committed. Should they allow this to succeed, then anything can happen. Any other government can wake up one day, or any group of people can wake up one day and remove the president. Or suspend the president. To be and nobody will say you can refer, because there would have been precedent. So once this is allowed to fly,
to become an president,
nobody can do that. The military can come tomorrow and say no, because of this and that, the president is hereby suspended. And the street, like I said, will jubilate because the president has set this record.
So this is more of a inviting military into democracy.
Through the back door, he did by himself. Is putting vote of confidence in the military against an elected governor's decision.
All right. I mean, because of time, Mazi Nnamdi Irabo is an activist and a politician. Thanks so much for sharing your thoughts on the show tonight. We'll continue to monitor all of that development and bring you to speed. Thanks so much for joining us, always on the program. Hey everyone, the conversation about democracy is an unending conversation. We'll continue to look at what it means, but what matters is that there should be the complete respect to the rule of law. The complete adherence to the provisions of our constitution should be what matters to every political actors as we continue to look at our political developments. My name is Deacon Michael. Thanks so much for joining us on the show tonight. See you again.